Well, I don't know about you, Brian.
No, you don't.
Okay. But I'm on pins and needles over Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do you get all
I'm
excited?
only on I'm only on pins.
You're
I
only
don't get as excited for no needles this time, but I don't get as excited for earnings day as I do for production and delivery numbers because that's my big thing. The earnings are temporary. There's something that passes. You can have a bad quarter, you can have a great quarter, and that's only one data point in a much longer series. Where production, as long as line keep going up, I'm happy. As long as the numbers are going in the right direction, I'm happy. But when it comes to production earnings, that's not my Christmas morning, but I can pretend it is for the sake of better videos.
well, the earnings numbers are interesting to me. They are kind of like the appetizer. No, it's the earnings call. And I don't know if other folks in the audience do this or not, but I have my after hours stock ticker going over here on the left, and I'm watching this screen over here as they're talking. And it's fun to watch as the after hours price goes up and down based on what somebody says. Now, I do this with Chairman Powell when he talks, and I do it with a lot of other folks too. But it's always been fascinating since the Apple days. That's when I started doing that. But we've got I think we have a very interesting earnings call coming because at least I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to be revealed this Wednesday, and maybe it will and maybe it won't. But do you have if you were sitting on Santa's lap right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll never get that out of I can't. And now that I've visualized it, I'll never be able to unvisualize it. If you were sitting on Santa's lap right now, what would be your number one request for Wednesday?
I need that Cybertruck delivery date. I need to know when that is. The number I was told, late October. It looks like it might be slipping, and there's some reasons for that. But you and I will discuss that on my channel at greater length. But what am I looking for? I'm looking for the margins to not take a significant hit from the price cuts. And I think that's very possible because costs for a number of the components have fallen. We know lithium prices are down, but Tesla has long-term contracts that should have already mitigated that. So I don't know how much of that will be realized in the Q3 numbers. What am I looking for? I'm looking for margins to remain healthy. For a long time, we're industry leading, but Mercedes has recovered on their numbers. They haven't done the kind of price cuts we've seen from Tesla, but they also haven't expanded their market. Yeah. And while margins are good, I don't pay my bills with margins. I pay my bills with dollars. I can't offer my bank a percentage and have them get excited. They want actual real dollars. So big volume, big dollars. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be a record number in terms of total revenue or even total profit. But I would be surprised to see it be a record for margin as a percentage.
Okay. So for my fans, I think already know that I'm expecting the margins to be a beat, and for the net income, to be not 73 or 74, which is what the street thinks. And even I think it's okay to say that there's some guy, Troy, that also thinks that's the number 74. I think he's already published that now. But rather, I think it's going to be 84. And I think,
my goodness.
I think if it's anything over 79, it's going to be a very good day for the market on Thursday, unless, of course, they throw it all to the wind during the earnings call by saying something like, well, we're not going to hit 500,000 or not hit 1.8 million. I don't care. I guess they only need 470 something to get to.
Yeah, it's a very realistic number.
Yeah.
All they need to do to hit it is not take down the Model 3 line in Fremont until Q1 or late enough in Q4 that they know they've got the number in the bag. We've seen the big numbers in China. We talked about this on your show yesterday, that the China Highland I've seen some real skeptics out there saying, well, the Highland is a flop because deliveries haven't begun in earnest in Europe and they haven't begun at all in China. And you're misunderstanding how this works. Boats take time. So the boats are full and moving. They're shipping to Europe first because there's pent up demand and the margin is significantly better. And then they may also have a delay for homologation in China. In the US, we get to self-certify everything. Your crash.
Who's that again? Who's delaying it? Homol who?
Homologation is the process by which your car is deemed roadworthy.
Oh.
In the US, homologation, all your certifications are self-certified. Your EPA numbers are self-certified. Your crash testing is self-certified. Your roadworthiness, all self-certified, which is a little bonkers and feels prone to abuse. And it has been historically, yes. But it's cheaper than doing it all. I don't know, whatever. But so it may be that there's a delay in China while they're getting those certifications. Great. Take the time. We'll just export them all to Europe while we're waiting. And then what we're going to see is in this month, all the real deliveries will begin in Europe. We're going to see huge numbers of Highlands going out, the 3 fresh. And we're going to see, and then in the last month of the quarter, as was so long the case, we'll see big deliveries in China where that car is going to be going gangbusters. They even announced a special delivery launch event in Hong Kong. Oh. So that's going to be great, man.
All right. So speaking of the 3, that is one of the big questions that people want to hear on Wednesday. They want to know, when is it going to be available in the US? And I think I just heard you say that you anticipate maybe they won't do the line changeover until January in order to not kill the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think it'll probably happen at Christmas break. The factory, you've got a lot of workers that want to go home anyway. That's historically a very quiet week. Great. Just pay double and bring in the crew to do it then. That cost will be very easily absorbed with the new production because it's a more efficient car to build. It's a slightly cheaper car to build. It's going to sell for more money. It's just a winner across all categories. And a lot of people are frustrated saying, well, I think the Model 3 may not qualify for the full credit in January. And that may be true of the standard range, but not necessarily for the long range.
Oh, I see.
The long range and performance are still getting their batteries from Nevada.
I got it.
So I believe those will still qualify, just not the SR Plus.
Interesting. Okay, that's news. Okay, that's breaking news. All right. Yeah. You got it here first, or maybe you did. Maybe you said it somewhere else, even on your own channel. Okay, so then another one of the big questions, I think, was about the Cybertruck, which you said that's one of your big questions. And so, I'm still hoping for a mid-November, given whatever you may or may not know. Is mid-November still in the cards?
Yeah, November's this quarter, 100%. November, I'd say 90%. October, the odds are dwindling.
Okay. Each day that goes by, you would think this is kind of one of those assets that shrinks as the days go by, the asset of the certainty of a delivery in October. All right. So then let's see. What are the other questions? Let me pull them up here. Whoops.
Would you?
I just pulled something up, but it wasn't what I was looking to see. So I am now, fumbling around. Of course, everybody wants to know when autonomy is going to be, when FSD is going to be fully on. And of course, it's going to be 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks, Randy. It's going to be 2 weeks. Yes, it's going to be 2 weeks. We just don't know 2 weeks from when. So that's going to be very exciting. I think we'll have a good time with that. Again, so for the longest time, I would always say autonomy is just over the horizon. We can see the smoke, but we can't see the shore. We know it exists, but we don't know where. And for the last 6 months, I've been saying, well, the shoreline is in sight. We just don't know if we can navigate to it safely. Are there reefs in the way? Are there barriers beneath the water? We have to find a port. So we can see it. It's right there. But until we get there, we're not there.
Well,
And
Elon
yeah,
did say the other day, he did a post over on X. I'm trying to get the language right. He did post over on X the other day that he had driven all over, I think it was Austin. He was driven all over town. I forget which town it was,
it was Austin.
for many hours or for a very long time with not a single time of having to uh, overcome,
Intervene. Mhm.
intervene to do anything that he let it play its own game for the entire time. And he said it was even in some difficult situations because there was a lot of, I guess, pedestrian traffic due to festivals and other things that were taking
Yeah.
place. So
Yeah. But bear in mind, he's been saying this for years. He's always been saying, I have the bleeding edge build. And if you saw what I saw, you'd know it's just a few months away. And that has not proven to be the case. I think he looks at it with a more optimistic eye than most drivers would. Now, when you look at how many interventions you might face in the case of your daily driving, you may not recognize how good it is, because there are a lot of cases. If you look at Holmar's catalog and Ryan from Kilowatts, and I forget, someone else did a test where they got in a Waymo, got in a Cruise, and got in a Tesla and set them all to the same destination out at the Presidio to see who would get there first. And what they found was the the Tesla required an intervention, and did it because I think if he'd have just given it a second, it would have sorted it out.
yeah,
Ryan's car, Ryan was in the Cruise. It also needed an intervention. It just didn't get one. So he's sitting at a stop sign by himself at an intersection for a good minute while the car just kind of contemplates life and thinks about things and says, oh, sorry, dear, I was miles away. What? Oh, right, the Presidio. Let's go. Let's go. And Ryan's sitting there going, oh my gosh, if I was in traffic, I would be so stressed out right now.
yeah, yeah.
So those don't count as interventions if you're in a Cruise, but because Omar tapped the gas, the pedal, the accelerator, the zappy thing to give it some juice, it counts as an intervention. Oh, it would have been great if he didn't do that, to let it just sit there. Let's see how long it takes.
Right.
And I've done that myself. I was driving in a Model Y and I came up to a stoplight and I thought, you know what? Let's just see what it does. There's no one behind me. I would go now. And it just waited for the light to turn because it was an off ramp. So you're sitting a little callywumpus and it's nighttime and there might be glare on the fender. But it went. I would have intervened if I was in any kind of hurry or if there was a car behind me, but I didn't need to. So it could be that we are close. But the fact that all of the coding from anything prior than 12 is being thrown out in favor of end-to-end neural encoding tells me that all of the promises and solutions we've seen up until now weren't as good as we were led to believe.
Or weren't as good as they were led to believe. In other words, I don't think there was any dishonesty involved. I think they're just, you see the horizon, like you said, and you're like, okay, all we need to do is more data, more data, more data, more compute, and we'll get there. And maybe they would have, maybe eventually they could have, given the old system. It just might have taken a lot more data and a lot more compute than anybody ever anticipated. The next question on the list, which I think we can completely dispense with, maybe they won't even ask it because it's a legal issue, and I'm not sure they're going to want to respond legally, is this whole business of, Mercedes is now they have officially said we'll take financial responsibility when their version of FSD level 3 is engaged. When it's engaged, you're off the hook. And they want to know, well, is Tesla going to make that same pronouncement when the full self-driving is out there? And I have an answer. What's your answer?
Well, my answer is if it's level 3, you have to. You don't have a choice. If you are saying it is truly, so level 3, you still have to pay attention, but while it's engaged, you're not on the hook. Level 4, definitely would have to be on the hook for it because you can go to sleep. You can get out of the car and let it drive itself. Who is there to intervene? So they would need to. worth mentioning before I hear your take on it, because I
That was it.
that was it. Yeah, I figured it was. That's because that's the correct legally.
And you didn't even go to law school.
Oh, I didn't tell you I went to Harvard. Yeah, I
Oh.
had lunch there one afternoon. Yeah, it was lovely. I have not been to Harvard, but for the sake of the joke, it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't. It's the same qualifications. You don't pick up enough during an afternoon to really put it on your resume, unfortunately.
I didn't pick up enough in 3 years to put it on my resume.
So the with the self-driving, what were we saying?
We were just saying that if you're, well, I think we made the point, but maybe you had another point. If you are in the car and the car is driving autonomously 100% and you don't have to pay attention, there is no question of who's responsible and who's liable.
Yes. What I was going to say is Mercedes-Benz Level 3 is in no way useful. It is not self-driving in any regard apart from liability. It is barely traffic jam assist, because the restrictions under which you would be able to actually turn it on are so extreme that I'm not convinced I would ever be able to use it. You have to be on a highway. So speed limit's what, 60, 70? You have to be going 35 or slower. Okay, well, I'm out.
Traffic jam.
I'm out. I'm in a traffic, and it has to be sunny, but not too sunny, not rainy. There has to be a car in front of you. This is traffic jam assist. Yeah. And they charge like 20 grand for it. Right there, they just covered any liability they could have. You can get a policy for less than that covers it. And again, it's just so restrictive. I just don't see anyone getting real utility out of it. It doesn't rise to the level of party trick because you can't show it off on command. You have to show it off under very specific, elusive circumstances.
So, will the price drop on the FSD as it gets better and better and robotaxi is expected so soon? Well, why was the price dropped is going to be the question. Why did they drop it if we're coming out? Because all along, Elon has said we're, eventually going to charge 75,000, et cetera, et cetera. Why was the price dropped now? And your thought is?
Take rates are so low. They have no choice. If the take rates are too low, there's a sweet spot, and 15 grand ain't it.
Wasn't it? Yeah,
right. ain't it. And my problem is, I have a real issue with paywalling safety. Safety should not be paywalled. It should be ubiquitous. And if take rates are only 10%, that means the real value is $1,500 to $1,200 to $1,500 per car. Crank the price up $1,200 and give it to everybody. Crank the price up $3,000 and give it to everybody. That would be the better solution. But, as a shareholder, of course, I'd love to be greedy, but I think in the future, when it is solved, it won't be available for sale. It'll only be available for purchase.
For purchase or subscription? Subscription.
Subscription. Thank you.
Yes, and maybe you've heard my option as well. I think they will have two different prices for that subscription. They'll have a price for those who are using it for their own use, and they will have a much higher price for those who are using it as a robotaxi.
Yes, and that makes sense. If you look at any industry, there is the industrial grade, the commercial grade, and the consumer grade. Right. And even when they are the same underlying technology, the same underlying chips and all that, the industrial one just costs more.
Do you think that we on Wednesday they're going to be asked about next year, about numbers for next year? Because in order to keep the 50% going, we have to be at 2.53, I think the number is. I forget, somewhere around there. Let's call it 2.5 to make it easy. And some people are saying, how are you ever going to get to 2.5? So that's going to be one of the questions. Do you think there is a chance under this green, under the sun, under the moon, or any other way that they're going to give us a number for next year this Wednesday?
A solid number? Probably not. I think they may reiterate the 50%, guidance, the 50%, but he would probably add that That's over the longer term. That's not necessarily a 50% growth next year, but just over the longer term. Can they add 1 million units next year without the semi line coming online, without any compact sales? Just add 1 million from the existing factories.
It's only 700,000. 700,000.
Okay. Can they add 700,000? It'd be tough. It'd be tough. It's not impossible, but until the compact, how many Cybertrucks can we get out? That's going to be the big question. If we can get 500,000 Cybertrucks, just 1,000, a day would be nice. That's a big ask. So it'll be tough to get there next year. But it's great that we're looking at 50% compound annual growth rate and going, boy, they're missing it. Meanwhile, everybody else is lucky to get 3-4%. Oh, we jumped 20% year over year. Weren't you shut down last year? Yeah. We made 8 cars and now we made 11. We're so excited.
Well, those are
beat your pre-COVID numbers and then we'll talk.
Right. Okay. Well, those are some of the big questions that people are expecting answers to on Wednesday. Those are certainly some of the ones that are on my list. I was very interested in knowing what was going on with 4680 until we got the announcement last week. So I'm pretty happy with the information that we now have. If they want to give more color, I'd be up for that. I'd like to hear more about semi. Elon did make a statement, that in 2024 they were going to sell. It was either 40 or 50,000. That's not going to happen because they moved it forward. But if he's pronounced it before, couldn't he give us a new pronouncement about when that 40 to 50,000 is going to be built?
Sure. And maybe we'll get that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, I think that covers us for Wednesday. I will be we'll be checking in with you next Monday to see, what we got right, what we got wrong. Oh no, I can't use that. That's yours. I can't.
No, you can say right and wrong.
Right
I say,
wrong.
what did we miss? What did we misunderstand?
Okay, I use right and wrong all the time because
they're your favorite Brians.
Well, no, second and third. Remember, my son is Brian.
No, I said what I said.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll stick with it then. Follow Brian on My Tesla Weekend. Do his Patreon. Do my Patreon. And if you do my Patreon, you could get something that's in this mysterious box. You could get it for free for just being at the $10 level. And there is the mysterious box. There it is.
Mine is empty.
Oh,
yeah, mine's inside.
Yours is inside.
Yeah, it's on the fridge.
It's on the fridge. Well, where would you think it would be? That's right.
Not in this box.
All right. Okay. Until next week. It's been lovely. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you. If you don't mind, I do want to pitch my little device here. I have these little devices for $25. You can't believe how cool this is. Look at how thick the stainless. I mean, holy mackerel! It comes in. It comes in a camo as well. It's a can opener. I mean, I'm sorry, not a can opener, a bottle opener. So you got your bottle opener here too, and it's got a magnet on the back, so you can slap it up on your fridge. I mean, is this good or what? So anyway, you just send $25 to my PayPal account. It's down in the information below. Just click on there. You can send it 20. Now, if you're out of the country, I got to charge you an extra $20 for freight. So, or if you join my Patreon, I'll give you one at the $10 level. I'll give you one for free.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.